Welcome back to the Fireplace Whisperer Studios. My name is Chris, the Fireplace Whisperer, and right now we are going to unveil the Raise Viva L100 wood stove. All right, we're gonna get started. First, we gotta grab the right tool. I'm gonna use a metal shear, and we're gonna get these straps out of here. Raise does a really good job packaging their stoves, especially because they're coming from Denmark. They get manufactured in Denmark, they get put on a shipping container, and then they get floated to the US, where then we order from our distributor to get it to our clients. So we're wrapped pretty heavy-duty, that's a good word. It's wrapped really well with wood frame, with your plastic visqueen or plastic wrap around the wood crate, and then they have this rigid foam here on the top that really settles right around the stove and holds it in place extremely well. Let's get these straps off. Score! All right, this is really wrapped in there. They put these boards on after they drop this rigid piece of foam down. I need to get a hammer or an axe. This will work. Who needs a hammer when you have an axe? When all else fails, find yourself an axe. That is so cool. All right, now that we have the top off and out of our way, we can now work on these brackets down here that are holding the stove to the pallet. There's 2 screws per bracket. There's 4 brackets. 4 times 2 is 8. Kids, that is why you do math. So hold those 2 screws holding the brackets down are a T20 Torx. That's where they get the T from, T20 Torx. So I'm going to use the impact. If you have a hand driver, you could do that as you take them off the pallet, but the impact, as you'll see in just a second, works really well. Just like that. 8 minus 1, 7 screws left. Let's go. 7 screws, 6 screws, 5 screws, 4 screws. Boy, this is going so fast. 3 screws, 2 screws, 1 screw, 0 screws. Just like that. Now that our 8 screws are out, our bracket is still kind of up and under that stove. So what I'm going to do is shimmy it out, just like that. They must be wrapped around, there's leveling legs on here, so they must be wrapped a little bit around the leveling leg. We'll get those out of the way. Next, I'm going to put the handle on. I'll show you how to do that. It comes shipped with this. That's so cool. You just grab it and pull forward. Amazing. So it comes shipped with this metal bracket here so that you can, it must be so that you can open it, which you can still open it without it, but. So here's our handle, and this is just gonna take its place. So it's gonna sit just like this. So I'm gonna loosen these screws. I should be able to reuse those screws, and there's washers on there. Even though they send 2 screws and washers, I may be able to reuse them here. I'll double check, make sure they're the same length. because we want to make sure they're long enough. They look to be the same size screw, same heads. The washers are the same. So you will end up with a couple extra bolts, which really, in the grand scheme of things, that's okay to have extra bolts than not enough. Now, if you don't pay close attention, you'll notice you probably could put this on wrong. But if you look, the Raise logo is on the front hand side. So just pay attention to that as you attach the handle. Do one little snug on those screws and it's all done. Probably what you'd want to do is after you fire the stove off a few times with the heating and expanding of metal, just double check those screws, make sure they're tight. Now that we can open the door, we're going to take out this packaging, which the purpose of this packaging is just to keep the small inner panels from moving around and possibly being damaged during shipping. Warning, better stop and read it. Do not remove the vermiculite, also known as the small plates. Do not remove the vermiculite plates from inside of the burning chamber. The vermicular plates are necessary for correct combustions. So as you pull stuff out and throw it away like that packaging, they just don't want you to take out too much. And that is it. So they've sent us, this is the collar, the flue collar, and this gets bolted to the top. Now depending on if you were doing a rear exit or a top exit, this is where you would decide if you're putting this flue collar on the top or on the back. It's always our preference to go up, and that's mainly from a functioning standpoint. Heat wants to rise, heat does not want to go horizontal. So anytime you go horizontal, it just takes a little longer to heat up and create that draw in the system. There's a couple foam packaging that they kind of stuff in here, keep that vermiculite here, this baffle vermiculite from bouncing around during shipping. Now we're going to put the flue collar on. As I open everything up, I saw that there are two options as far as connecting this, because they give us the 3 bolts and the 3 nuts and the flue collar, and you have 3 spots where you're going to attach the bolt through and attach it to the stove. Now I didn't see an Allen wrench, so I had to go dig in through my tools, and I found the Allen wrench that will work on these heads. Now, in deciding which way to go here, I noticed that there's 3 points here that are threaded for this bolt already. So your option would be to either drop the bolt down and try to get the nut underneath, which it's possible, it's just kind of tight. And if you drop the nut, I don't know if you'd ever find it again. So I'm going to do this method here. I'm not going to use the nuts just because it goes a little faster. Okay, it really doesn't matter what position you choose, but what you would want to do is get all your bolts started first before you tighten them down, because there is some play in this. So as you move it around, just get all your bolts tightened in first, and then use your Allen wrench, and you're just going to snug these up. We're going to open up the top now, and it comes packaged in its own packaging and all wrapped up here. And when we order these, we have to order them as either top exit or rear exit, right? So if you are planning on exiting the chimney out the back of the stove, we want this top plate to not have a hole in it. But if we're exiting off the top with the chimney, we want to have a hole in it for the flue to be able to come up. So this is also in the platinum color. And there's our hole for our flue to exit. Now there's 3 points right here where it's going to receive these dowel looking things, and so you're going to set it in and then twist clockwise to lock it into place. Okay, they're in. I'm just going to turn till it stops, and it is in and locked into place. That is, now there's a little bit of movement there. You hear that sound there? Metal to metal. So just depending if you hear that rattling when you open and close that door, you can, you know, shim it up with some like wood stove gasket material, some high temp gasket to take that away. All right, well that about sums up our unpackaging of the Rays Viva L100. This is it. Next, I'm going to get it up here on my pedestal, hook it up, fire it off. That'll be a separate video if you want to watch that if you're interested in the Rays Viva, one of the cleanest burning non-catalytic wood stoves in the market today. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris the Fireplace Whisperer. We will see you on the next video.